Nothing's worse than waiting patiently for your tomatoes to ripen, only to end up with tiny, disappointing fruits. But don't toss your plants just yet. Small tomatoes usually mean something is seriously off, whether it's sunlight, nutrients, or watering habits. The good news? A few simple yet effective fixes can turn things around quickly. So, let's dive into why your tomatoes are staying small, and, more importantly, how to get them big, juicy, and absolutely delicious. The first reason is not enough sunlight. Tomatoes absolutely love the sun, and if they're not getting at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily, their fruits will stay frustratingly small. Less light means less energy for fruit development, so they struggle to size up. If your plants are in a shady spot, try carefully moving them to a sunnier area, or trimming back anything blocking the sun. But if they're already planted in the ground and can't be moved, consider using strategically placed reflective mulch or white surfaces nearby to bounce light back onto the plants. Another highly effective tip? Consistently rotate your crops each season so tomatoes always get the best sun exposure. Planting them in the same spot year after year can lead to gradually declining soil quality and significantly increased disease risk. Additional tip: if you live in an area with intense summer heat, excessive sunlight can also stress your plants. Consider using a shade cloth during the hottest part of the day to prevent sun scald while still providing plenty of light for fruit growth. Another reason is a lack of nutrients. Tomatoes are incredibly heavy feeders, and if they're lacking key nutrients, they won't produce big, healthy fruits. Nitrogen helps with leafy growth, but too much can mean all leaves and no fruit. Meanwhile, phosphorus and potassium are essential for proper flowering and fruit size. A well-balanced fertilizer like 5 to 10, 10, or 10 to 10 to 10 is a great choice. But if your tomatoes already have lush green leaves but tiny fruits, switch to a low-nitrogen, high-phosphorus fertilizer like 0 to 10 to 10 to encourage much better fruit development. For an organic boost, use compost, worm castings, or aged manure to steadily enrich the soil. Bone meal is great for phosphorus, while wood ash or banana peels can provide potassium naturally. Pro tip: Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate, can also help improve fruit production. Magnesium aids in chlorophyll production, allowing plants to absorb sunlight more efficiently. Mix 1 tablespoon per gallon of water and apply it every 2 weeks as a foliar spray. Next, inconsistent watering could be the issue. Tomatoes are extremely picky about water. If they go through long dry spells followed by sudden, heavy watering, the plants get seriously stressed, and the fruits can stay small, or even crack. The trick is to keep the soil consistently moist but never overly soggy. The best method? Deep watering every few days works much better than light, frequent watering. Aim for 1 to 2 inches of water per week, depending on the weather. In scorching hot climates, you may need to water daily, but in cooler temperatures, every 2 to 3 days might be enough. Mulch definitely helps. A thick layer of straw, shredded leaves, or grass clippings around the base of the plants prevents moisture loss and keeps the roots perfectly cool. Just don't let it touch the stems to avoid rot. Pro tip: drip irrigation or soaker hoses provide slow, steady watering directly to the roots, preventing water from evaporating too quickly while reducing the risk of fungal diseases. Another possible reason is overcrowding. If your tomato plants are crammed too close together, they'll constantly compete for nutrients, water, and sunlight. This not only leads to smaller fruits, but also increases the risk of dangerous fungal diseases like powdery mildew and blight due to poor air circulation. If your plants look noticeably crowded, consider carefully thinning them out or spacing them at least 18 to 24 inches apart. If you're growing indeterminate, vining varieties, staking or caging them will help maximize space while keeping them properly upright and healthy. A fantastic alternative: vertical gardening. Training your tomatoes to grow up a trellis can save space while greatly improving air circulation and sun exposure. In some cases, pollination problems are to blame. Tomatoes rely on effective pollination, and if it's not happening properly, fruits might stay disappointingly small or not develop at all. If there aren't enough bees, butterflies, or wind movement, you may need to manually assist the pollination process. The simplest way? Gently shaking the flowers or using a small paintbrush or electric toothbrush to carefully transfer pollen between them. Do this in the early morning, when flowers are open and humidity is lower. To naturally attract more pollinators, plant companion flowers like marigolds, lavender, or basil nearby. Now, let's talk about the tomato variety. Not all tomatoes are meant to be big. If you're growing cherry, grape, or currant varieties, they'll naturally produce small but flavorful fruits. But if you planted a beefsteak or Roma variety and they're still tiny, something's off. Double-check your seed packet or plant label to make sure you're growing the right type. If you're unsure, look up your variety's expected fruit size. Pro tip: if you want consistently larger tomatoes, go for heirloom varieties like Brandywine, Big Boy, or Mortgage Lifter. They're bred for size and incredible flavor. Pests and diseases might also be the culprit. Small fruits could be a sign that harmful pests or diseases are quietly damaging your plants. Aphids, whiteflies, and spider mites suck nutrients from the leaves, slowly weakening the plant and reducing fruit growth. Tomato hornworms are another major threat, as these hungry caterpillars relentlessly devour leaves and stems, draining the plant's energy. Additionally, fungal diseases like early blight and root rot can stunt growth and limit fruit size, making it incredibly difficult for your tomatoes to reach their full potential. To prevent issues, frequently inspect your plants, remove any infected leaves, and use natural pest control like neem oil or insecticidal soap if needed. Companion planting with basil, marigolds, or garlic can also help effectively repel pests. Final thoughts. Tiny tomatoes aren't the end of the world, but they're definitely frustrating. The good news? Most of these issues are completely fixable. Whether it's adjusting watering habits, improving pollination, or giving them a nutrient boost, a few smart changes can lead to bigger, juicier, and more satisfying tomatoes in no time. So don't give up. Your best harvest is still ahead. Keep tweaking, keep growing, and soon you'll have tomatoes worth bragging about.